Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Reading Mythology with Daniel. Get into it. We're still, I believe we're still in the story of Theseus. Yeah, going to be wrapping that up soon. But, so, let's see. He's been into some stuff, but he's also pretty lucky. I feel like he's lucky. Just saying. Let's see. Fought the Minotaur. This dude is set up for success. I don't think he has to worry about it. And then he became the king, and somebody stole something from him. He's like, it's fine. So I just want you to be happy, buddy. Everything's fine. Yeah, that's great. All I want for you to be is to be my friend and brother in arms. That's great. It takes a big person to forgive somebody that stole something from them. So we're gonna kind of like go back a little bit and then go forward like we normally do, and then of course I'm gonna kind of like talk about things as they come on. Now, forewarning, there are some adult themes in here, so keep that in mind. So, but anyway, thank you for coming to see me, and thank you, and then we'll get to it. But one thing I am noticing in here that Medea was only mentioned a couple times in the story. I thought she was going to be more of a picture, like a part of the story of Theseus' life, but I guess not. No problem. Anyway. Okay. Theseus agreed, of course, to help him, but stimulated probably by the idea of this magnificently dangerous undertaking, declaring that first he would himself carry off Helen, the future heroine of Troy, then a child, and when she was grown, marry her. This, though less hazardous than the rape of Persephone, was perilous enough to satisfy the most ambitious. That's terrible. Anytime there's that R word, man, that's terrible. Should never. That's wild, man. A lot of people think they have access to other people. I don't know. Helen's brother were Castor and Pollux, more than a match for any mortal hero. Theseus succeeded in kidnapping the little girl. That's great. Just how we're not told, but the two brothers marched against the town she had been taken to and got her back. Good. That's messed up. Luckily for him, they did not find Theseus there. He was on his way to the underworld. Wow. I'm going to look up a name. Okay. Pirithous as a name. You got to really concentrate. Pirithous. Great. Moving on, the details of their journey and arrival there are not known beyond the fact that the Lord of Hades was perfectly aware of their intention and amused himself by frustrating it in a novel way. He did not kill them, of course, as they were already in the realm of the dead, but he invited them as a friendly gesture to sit in his presence. They did so on the seat he pointed them to, and there they stayed. They could not arise from it. It was called the Chair of Forgetfulness. Whoever sat on it forgot everything. His mind became a blank, and he did not move. There, Pirithous sits forever, but Theseus was freed by his cousin. When Hercules came back to the underworld, he lifted Theseus from the seat and brought him back to the earth. He tried to do the same for Pirithous, but he could not. The king of the dead knew it was he who had planned to carry off Persephone, and he held him fast. Well, Persephone's a god, and all the gods are related, so I imagine he got really, really mad at Theseus and his whole crew for doing something as foolish as carrying off Persephone. That was a stupid idea. It's like these mortals, man, they like to just stab the gods with a hot poker, and they're like, and then they're just like, whatever, it's fine. Like, it's so dumb. In the later years of his life, Theseus married Adriane's sister, Phaedra, and thereby drew down terrible misfortunes on her and on himself and on his son Hippolytus, the son the Amazon had borne him. He had sent Hippolytus away while still a young child to be brought up in the southern city where Theseus had spent his own youth. The boy grew up splendid manhood. The boy grew up to splendid manhood, a great athlete and hunter, despising those who lived in luxurious ease and still more those who were soft enough and silly enough to fall in love. He scorned Aphrodite. He worshipped only Artemis, the huntress, chaste and fair. So matters stood when Theseus came to his old home, bringing Phaedra with him. A strong affection grew up at once between father and son. They delighted in each other's company. As for Phaedra, her stepson, Hippolytus, took no notice of her. He never noticed women, but it was far otherwise with her. She fell in love with him, madly and miserably, overwhelmed with shame at such love, but utterly unable to conquer it. Aphrodite was back of this wretched and ominous state of affairs. She was angry at Hippolytus and determined to punish him the utmost. Phaedra, in her anguish, desperate, seeing no help for her anywhere, resolved to die and let no one know why. Theseus at the time was away from home, but her old nurse, completely devoted to her and unable to think anything bad that Phaedra wanted, discovered all her secret passion, her despair, and her determination to kill herself. With only one thought in her mind, to save her mistress, she went straight to Hippolytus. "She is dying for your love," she said. "Give her life. Give her love for love." Hippolytus drew away from her with loathing. The love of any woman would have disgusted him, but this guilty love sickened and horrified him. He rushed out to the courtyard. She followed him and beseeching him. Phaedra was sitting there, but he never saw her. He turned in furious indignation to the old woman. "You pitiful wretch," she said, "trying to make me betray my father? I feel polluted by merely hearing such words. Oh, women, vile women, every one of them vile. I will never enter this house again except when my father is in it." He flung away, and the nurse, turning, faced Phaedra. She had risen, and there was a look on her face which frightened the old woman. "I will help you still," she stammered. "Hush," Phaedra said. "I will settle my own affairs." With that, she entered the house, and the nurse, trembling, crept after her. A few minutes later, the voices of men were heard greeting the master of the house on his return, and Theseus entered the courtyard. Weeping women met him there. They told him that Phaedra was dead. She had killed herself. They had just found her, quite dead, but in her hand a letter to her husband. "Oh, dearest and best," Theseus said, Are your last desires written here? Is this your seal? Yours, who will never more smile up at me?" He opened and read it again. Then he turned to the servants filling the courtyard. "This letter cries aloud," he said. The words speak. They have a tongue. Know all of you that my son laid violent hands upon my wife. O Poseidon, God, hear me while I curse him and fulfill my curse." The silence that followed was broken by hurrying footsteps. Hippolytus entered. "What happened?" he cried. "How did she die, father? Tell me. Do not hide your grief from me. There ought to be a true yardstick to measure affection by," said Theseus. "Some means to know who is to be trusted and who is not. You here, look at my son, proved debased by hand of her who is dead. He offered her violence. Her letter outweighs any words he could speak. Go, you are in exile from this land. Go to your ruin, and at once." "Father," Hippolytus answered, "I have no skill in speaking, and there is no witness to my innocence. The only one is dead. All I can do is to swear by Zeus above that I have never touched your wife, never desired to, never gave her a thought. May I die in wretchedness if I am guilty." "Dead she proves her truth," Theseus said. "Go, you are banished from this land." Hippolytus went, but not in exile. Death was waiting close at hand for him, too. As he drove along the sea road, away from home, he was leaving forever. His father's curse was fulfilled. A monster came up from the water, and his horses, terrified beyond even his firm control, ran away. The chariot was shattered, and he was mortally hurt. Theseus was not spared. Artemis appeared to him and told him the truth. "I do not come to bring you help, but only pain, to show you that your son was honorable. Your wife was guilty, mad with love for him, and yet she fought her passion and she died. But what she wrote was false." As Theseus listened, overwhelmed by this sum of terrible events, Hippolytus, still breathing, was carried in. He gasped out, "I was innocent, Artemis." "My goodness, your huntsman is dying, and no other can take your place, dearest of men to me," she told him. Hippolytus turned his eyes from her radiance to Theseus, broken-hearted. "Father, dear father," he said, "it is not your fault." "If only I could die for you," Theseus cried. The calm, sweet voice of the goddess broke in on their anguish. "Take your son in your arms, Theseus," she said. "It was not you that killed him. It was Aphrodite. Know this, that he will never be forgotten. In song and in story, men will remember him." She vanished from sight, but Hippolytus too was gone. He had starred on the road that leads down to the realm of death. Theseus' death also was wretched. He was at the court of a friend, King Lycomedes, where a few years later Achilles was to hide disguised as a girl. Some say that Theseus had gone there because Athens had banished him. At all events, the king, his friend, and his hosts killed him, and we are not told why. So Theseus had a run, but that's it. He's done. Even if the Athenians did banish him, very soon after his death, they honored him as no other mortal. They built a great tomb for him and decreed that it should be forever a sanctuary for slaves and for all poor and helpless people, in memory of those who, through his life, had been the protector of the defenseless. That's a great story. Had a bunch of different stuff in there. Had twists. It's like a M. Night Shyamalan movie. Twists at the end, but good throughout. I guess not like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but good throughout. Twist at the end, and the person still died. So there it is. So we're gonna kind of roll into the next one. The next one is Hercules, the story of Hercules. Who doesn't know the Hercules movies, right? And the story of Hercules. At least what we know is the story of Hercules. This one is going to be a little bit a bigger one. That's great. So we're going to get into it, and then, okay. So this is a story by Ovid. So again, he was one of the poets, scholars, whatever you want to call them, back in these times of Greece. So we're going to start from here, and. So the greatest hero of Greece was Hercules. He was a personage of quite another order from the great hero of Athens, Theseus. He was what all Greece except Athens most admire. That Athenians were different from all other Greeks, and that their hero, therefore, was different. Theseus was, of course, bravest of the brave, as all heroes are. But unlike other heroes, he was as compassionate as he was brave, and a man of great intellect, as well as a great bodily strength. It was natural that the Athenians should have such a hero because they valued thought and ideas as no other part of the country did. In Theseus, their ideal was embodied, but Hercules embodied what the rest of Greece most valued. His qualities were those the Greeks in general honored and admired, except for unflinching courage. They were not those that distinguished Theseus. Hercules was the strongest man on earth, and he had the supreme self-confidence magnificent physical strength gives. Of course, because if you're the strongest in the world, you could do whatever you want. Nobody's going to pick on you, unless you have, like, I don't know, Thanos. Hercules versus Thanos. That'd be interesting. He considered himself on equal with the gods, and with some reason. They needed his help to conquer the giants, and the final victory of the Olympians over the brutish sons of Earth. Hercules' arrows played an important part. He treated the gods accordingly. Once, when the priestess at Delphi, one of the two, gave no response to the question he asked, he seized the tripod she sat on and declared that he would carry it off and have an oracle of his own. That's great. So, wasn't very smart, but super strong. That's what I'm getting. Apollo, of course, would not put up with this, but Hercules was perfectly willing to fight him, and Zeus had to intervene. The quarrel was easily settled, however. Hercules was quite good-natured about it. He did not want to quarrel with Apollo. He only wanted an answer from his oracle. If Apollo would give it, the matter was settled as far as he was concerned. Apollo, on his side, facing the undaunted person, felt an admiration for his boldness and made his priestess deliver the response. Throughout his life, Hercules had this perfect confidence that no matter who he was against, he could never be defeated. The facts bore him out. Whenever he fought with anyone, the issue was certain beforehand. He could be overcome only by a supernatural force. Hera used hers against him with terrible effect, and in the end he was killed by magic. But nothing that lived in the air, sea, or land ever defeated him. Intelligence did not figure largely in anything he did, and was often conspicuously absent, obviously, because he stole this tripod and he was like, I'm going to get my own. Like, that's... okay, that seems pretty dumb. There's no reasoning there. It's like, right? Once he was too hot, he pointed an arrow at the sun and threatened to shoot it. Another time, when the boat he was in tossed about the waves, he told the waters that he would punish them if they did not grow calm. That's fantastic. His intellect was not strong, obviously. His emotions were. They were quickly aroused and apt to get out of control. As when he deserted the Argo and forgot all about his comrades in the quest of the Golden Fleece, and his despairing grief at losing his youngest armor bearer, Hylas. The power of deep feeling in a man of this tremendous strength was oddly endearing, but it worked immense harm too. He had sudden outbursts of furious anger, which were always fatal to the often innocent objects. When the rage had passed and he had come to himself, he would show a most disarming penitence and agreed humbly to any punishment it was proposed to inflict on him. Without his consent, he could not have been punished by anyone, yet nobody ever endured so many punishments. He spent a large part of his life expecting one fortunate deed after another, and never rebelling against the almost impossible demands made upon him. Sometimes he punished himself when others were inclined to exonerate him. It would have been ludicrous to put him in command of a kingdom as Theseus was. He had more than enough to do to command himself. He could never have thought out any new or great idea as the Athenian hero was held to have done. Well, we're going to pause it there for today. But here's the thing. Every person they put in it's like they have these people that do great things, but they always end up doing bad things too. But I'm sure Hercules, maybe kind of dumb, and his anger gets out of in the way, but it seems like his heart's in the right place. But as we all know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Isn't that the whole thing? So, is there a right person to put in charge? of all these places? I don't know. Seems like we're doing the same stuff that we've been doing forever. Just keeps it's like a circle. Just keeps going around in a circle over and over again. Never stops. Anyway, more about that later. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time. More mythology with Daniel, and of course, finding hope through faith. Have a good day.